Good morning. My name is McGregor Scott. I am the United States Attorney for the Eastern District of California. As you can see, I'm surrounded by a huge team, which brings us all here today. And I will identify just a handful of the folks that are standing behind me so that you can know who they are. And this is several of these people will be speakers here at our press conference this morning. I'm joined first by California Attorney General Xavier Becerra, General, Fresno County District Attorney Lisa Smitkamp, Fresno County Sheriff Margaret Mims, Chief of Criminal Investigations for the State Department of Justice Kevin Gardner, Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent in Charge Ryan Spradlin, and FBI Special Agent in Charge Sean Reagan. Other people I do want to call out of note today: Rob Kreider, the commander of the Multi-Agency Gang Enforcement Consortium, or MAGIC. Where's Rob? There he is. Stephen Katz, the commander of the Detective Division for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. Commander? There. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to pick out all these folks out here. Mendota, Chief of Police. Greg Anati, Chief. Thank you. And lots of other folks as we go along here. A top priority of the United States Department of Justice is to work collaboratively with our local and state law enforcement partners to prevent violent crime and protect our communities. Today, we announce a resounding success in that work. Over the past 2 years, more than a dozen murders have occurred in Mendota and rural western Fresno County, all connected to members or associates of the Mara Salvatrucha gang, commonly known as MS-13. The Fresno County Sheriff's Department and MAGIC unit began an investigation which grew to include state and federal law enforcement agencies. This team, the Fresno Sheriff's Office, the Fresno District Attorney's Office, MAGIC, the State Department of Justice, the California Highway Patrol, the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, Homeland Security Investigations, the FBI, ATF, DEA, and the United States Attorney's Office, over the past several months, have conducted an exemplary criminal investigation of MS-13. The investigation uncovered a wide range of criminal activity, including murder, violent assaults, and drug trafficking by an MS-13 cell operating in and around Mendota and Los Angeles. The investigation found a well-worn path between this small town in Fresno County and Los Angeles. Ultimately, because of this team, we were able to establish evidence which has led to multiple investigations and prosecutions across the nation. In total, the joint investigation has involved at least 30 murders and violent assaults stretching from Mendota to Los Angeles to Las Vegas to Houston to New York City. Here in the Eastern District of California, we today announced that nearly 24 MS-13 members or associates have been charged with a variety of criminal acts. The first federal case charged as a result of the investigation was filed in January of this year, but not unsealed until today. That indictment alleges that in December 2017, 2 MS-13 gang members operating out of Mendota kidnapped and murdered a man in furtherance of MS-13's criminal enterprises. Another indictment filed in April and unsealed today alleges that in May 2017, 3 persons committed an assault with dangerous weapons in Mendota for the purpose of maintaining MS-13's presence in the community and to gain status within MS-13. A complaint further alleges that on August 12, 2018, 3 MS-13 members stabbed a rival gang member in the back at an intersection in Mendota. It is further alleged that on May 14, 2018, 3 MS-13 members attacked a man walking near an elementary school in Mendota, beating him with a metal pipe. Finally, 15 members of the MS-13 gang have been charged with participation in a drug trafficking conspiracy in both Fresno County and Los Angeles County. I wish to emphasize that the charges are only allegations. The defendants are presumed innocent until and unless proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. In addition to the federal charges we announced today, District Attorney Smitkamp will discuss criminal charges brought against MS-13 members in Fresno County Superior Court in just a moment. Yesterday was D-Day for this investigation. Local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies arrested 25 persons on federal and state charges. They served 18 federal and 3 state search warrants. Among the items seized pursuant to the search warrant were 7 guns, 56 knives, and 10 machetes. In addition, 37 cells at 11 prisons across the state of California were searched, and cell phones, weapons, and drugs were found. Nothing like this happens without the complete dedication, hard work, and professionalism of a core team of law enforcement professionals. I wish to thank the key members of this team who simply made it happen. Dean Johnston of the California State Department of Justice, Arlie Terrence with the Fresno County Sheriff's Department, Dennis Lewis of the Fresno County District Attorney's Office, Ryan Yetter of the California Highway Patrol, who is working presently as an FBI Task Force Officer, Ryan Demon of the FBI, Tim Kottman of Homeland Security Investigations, Kim Sharp of the Fresno County Sheriff's Department, and Kim Sanchez, Ross Pearson, and Kathy Servatius, and Angela Scott of my office, as well as Marion Shelby from the from the Organized Crime and Gang Section at the Criminal Division at the Department of Justice in Washington, D.C. This is a good day. An extremely violent street gang, which has terrorized western Fresno County, has been completely dismantled, and several murders and violent crimes across the nation have been resolved in a resounding way. We have reduced violent crime and protected our communities. I now wish to ask Attorney General Becerra to make some comments.
Good morning, and thank you all for joining us here in Fresno today. I'm pleased to stand with the partners that you see behind us on behalf of the men and women who actually did all the work to make today's announcement possible. They did the work yesterday, but the reality is they do the work day in, day out. I'd like to recognize my team who's here, because oftentimes the Division of Law Enforcement at the California Department of Justice goes unnoticed. Kevin Gardner, who is the Chief of the Division of Law Enforcement, is here. He will say a few words. Chris Caligieri will be here. Who is here? He's the Director of the Bureau of Investigation. Luis, or Louis, as he's known, Lopez, who is a special agent in the Division of Law Enforcement as well. Earlier this week, U.S. Attorney McGregor Scott, Sheriff Margaret Mims, and I stood together to announce another operation and the results of that operation. It was a joint interagency operation to protect California families. In this case, a couple of days ago, it was a statewide effort to combat illegal marijuana plantings in our state and national forests. Indeed, local, state, and federal teams collaborate every day. The work we're here to discuss today, Operation Blue Inferno, is yet another prime example of a team effort to fight crime and help folks in our state and around the country live free of violence and fear. As you've heard from U.S. Attorney Scott, members from several law enforcement agencies came together to investigate a chilling series of murders in and around the town of Mendota, just 45 minutes drive from where we are today. Over the course of a several-month investigation, our teams identified suspects and provided evidence in 18 unsolved murders. So you can understand why, in announcing that Operation Blue Inferno has succeeded, in the arrest nationally of dozens of individuals suspected of being MS-13 gang members, 25 in California, or 24 or 25 in California, and suspected of being responsible for this series of crimes throughout California and the nation. Today, as U.S. Attorney Scott said, is a good day. Operation Blue Inferno's message: if you want to commit crime in California, we will find you. Especially if you want to terrorize our families and our communities, we will get you. Our operations are laser beam focused. But I want to make a point. Our focus is not on color, creed, origin, or status. If you traffic human beings or drugs, you're in our sights. If you illegally possess firearms, you're in our sights. And if you terrorize families through criminal gang activity, you are in our sights. Our operations as well are not about labels. I want to make sure that's very clear. At the California Department of Justice, we've taken down numerous gangs that are criminally active in our state. In May 2017, we were operating with our local partners in Merced County to take down the Sureño gang. In June of last year, we were in San Bernardino. July, in Tulare County. In November, in LA, Riverside, San Bernardino, and Orange County. In December of last year, we were in Stockton. That same month, we were in Bakersfield again. And just this past May, we were in Orange County. I don't care what you call yourself or your group of criminal thugs. If you're a criminal, that's what matters to us. Finally, I hope no one gets the impression that this work is easy. More than 24 suspects from gangs arrested, numerous weapons and drugs seized, but no one hurt. No incident. Folks got to go home, be with their families at the end of the day. Another day's work well done. Our agents and our officers alike, they make it look easy. But every operation carries high risks. In some way, maybe we should make sure that all these operations carry that disclaimer: do not try this at home. Because what they do makes it possible for us to go home and feel safe. Our agents and officers deserve every penny they earn. They deserve our thanks every day, not just on days like today. To our men and women in law enforcement, thanks for what you did in Operation Blue Inferno, but more importantly, thanks for what you do every day. Today is a good day.
Thank you, General. Our next speaker will be Chief of Criminal Investigations for the State Department of Justice, Kevin Gardner. Kevin?
Good morning. First off, I want to thank Attorney General Becerra and United States Attorney Scott for supporting and encouraging the types of partnerships that allow us to do this sort of work. This operation focused on a violent criminal street gang that was creating an atmosphere of fear and violence in our communities. Our work on this operation is a true reflection on our commitment to come together to protect Californians from violence and fear of violence. The special agents, and in this case also the California Highway Patrol officers that are consisting of our Special Operations Unit, provided intelligence and support for this operation that led to the arrest and ultimately will lead to the prosecution of these violent criminals. It is often said that it's difficult to prove something that didn't happen, much less take credit for something that you can't prove. Law enforcement is always focused on directing its resources toward the prevention of crimes before they occur. In this case, I can confidently say that the work of this team prevented additional loss of life. Again, I want to thank the team for all their hard work on this case, and we look forward to continuing our relationships with our local and federal partners to continue to do this sort of work throughout the state to protect all Californians. Thank you.
I want to say without equivocation at all that we simply could not have done what we announced here today without the State Attorney General's office help, certainly with respect to the national scope in which we were able to detect, investigate, and prosecute crime. So I'm very grateful to both of you for what you've done here. Our next speaker will be Fresno County District Attorney Lisa Smitkamp.
Yeah. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, U.S. Attorney Scott, for your leadership and all you did to support this operation. The Fresno County District Attorney's Office is always proud to work with our federal partners at the United States Attorney's Office and the State Attorney General's Office and the State Department of Justice in the prosecution of cases like this and the massive investigative efforts that go into the preparation of days like today. When prosecutors get together and work hand in hand with the brave men and women who are the frontline law enforcement officers from the local, state, and federal levels, magic happens. In this case, we not only used our local talent, but we were supported by law enforcement agencies from across the nation. And we were able to identify and eradicate some of the most violent gang members our county has ever seen. We are continuing to work directly with the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office on jointly prosecuting a series of murders committed at the direction of the Mendota MS-13 leadership. After learning that Mendota was the cell for an MS-13 presence in the small town of Mendota, it was necessary to take action. MS-13 gang members were using the remote area of our county as an extension of their larger operation in Los Angeles and created a home base to continue to operate their unlawful activities while ingraining themselves in our community and taking advantage of the fact that Mendota is a small town with very minimal resources. Drug sales, assault with deadly weapons, kidnapping, and violent and brutal murders are commonplace for this group. With no regard for human life or any type of law and order, they used our county for a place to conduct their crimes, to hide out from crimes that they committed in other jurisdictions, and to prepare to commit crimes in states as far away as New York. Someone had to stop them, and we did. There were many of us who sacrificed time away from our families, our friends, and other job duties to get the extra work done that it takes to plan, execute, and orchestrate this type of investigation, which entailed thousands of man-hours in the field where officers, agents, deputies, and investigators risked their lives to penetrate the gang and gather intelligence to develop the leads and information it took to then write search warrants, arrest warrants, and bring together the evidence that now will be the information we will take to both state and federal court in the prosecution of these vicious criminals. The District Attorney's Office will be prosecuting 11 of the defendants in the state court. 5 will be arraigned on Tuesday in the Fresno County Superior Court, and the remaining 6 will be arraigned on Wednesday. These 11 defendants will be charged with a wide variety of state crimes, including sales of narcotics, assault with a deadly weapon, and conspiracy to commit murder, both in Fresno and Los Angeles counties. Senior Deputy District Attorney Dennis Lewis will be the prosecutor in charge of these cases. I want to especially thank Deputy District Attorney Dennis Lewis, as well as the staff that we have out at Magic, for their tireless efforts. I cannot tell you how many times that this Senior Deputy District Attorney darkened my door after 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, bringing me search warrant affidavits to review and to have ready for the morning to be signed so that we could continue this investigation over the last months. I would like to also thank everyone who worked on this most successful and productive operation that we call Blue Inferno. Thank you for your time, your dedication, your skill, and your sacrifice. All of you know the criminals that you took off the streets, but I would like to salute you for every person out there who now won't be a victim of this ruthless gang because of your efforts. Those are people you'll never have the chance to meet, but could have been the next victims. Since they can't thank you for those efforts, I will thank you on their behalf.
Thank you, Lisa. And our next speaker will be my good friend, Fresno County Sheriff Margaret Mims.
Thank you. This operation originally began as a result of 13 homicides occurring between 2015 and 2017, as you heard, around the city of Mendota in rural western Fresno County. The homicides are extremely violent in nature, most as a result of hacking injuries as a result of a knife attack. Information was developed that those responsible were possibly involved in the gang known as MS-13, and due to the number of homicides in a short amount of time, the complexity of the investigations, and no indication that the murders would not continue, I directed my staff to form a task force, initially made up of Fresno County Sheriff's Office homicide detectives, as well as our members in the multi-agency gang enforcement consortium unit. In December of 17, there was another homicide, bringing the total to 14, which we believe to all be connected. In January of 18, additional agencies agreed to partner with this homicide, and I can't thank them enough for addressing this issue that affects our communities so deeply. That collaboration, as well as the efforts of the United States Attorney's Office for the Eastern District, the Fresno County District Attorney's Office, culminated in a statewide operation that occurred yesterday, in which the search warrants were served in the city of Mendota, city of Kerman, the city of Oakland, in Los Angeles, and one in San Bernardino. That's a total of 21 search warrants. Nearly 400 law enforcement personnel were involved. The murders are all suspected to be related to the desire to control drug trafficking, as well as for violations of the MS-13 gang code of conduct. Yes, they have a code of conduct and they enforce it, and to silence people from cooperating with law enforcement. Also, as a result of the efforts of the task force, information was developed that assisted agencies across our nation with investigations in numerous states across our nation. I will not comment on the details of the investigative tools used at this point in time. This is not the end of the investigation, only the end of the initial phase of the work we have to do to bring these cases to a conclusion. I will say that not only were we able to arrest numerous individuals, and attorneys have been able to charge them with significant, serious, and violent crimes, during this investigation, as information was developed, we were also able to prevent acts of violence in their planning stages. The homicides committed by MS-13 are particularly vicious. Even though some were committed by firearm, most were as a result of machete and knife attacks, rendering their victims visually unidentifiable. Autopsies in several of the cases revealed cut wounds on the victims literally from head to toe. Bodies are then left out in the open, sending a message of intimidation to our communities. I cannot stress the importance of all the agencies' involvement in helping to bring these cases to this point in time. Information gathered by Mendota Police Department was vital. Thank you, Chief Andriotti. Resources provided by the state of California, the FBI, Homeland Security, all of the agencies that you see standing here were essential to carry out not only the investigation, but also the massive takedown operation. I want to recognize the leadership of Sergeant Arlie Terrence, who was tasked initially with putting the task force together. He was your counterpart, PA, bringing me the affidavits after hours early in the morning to make sure we signed and got them to the right people on time. This team also were responsible at the drop of a hat, as information came in, to get in their cars and travel, sometimes to Los Angeles, sometimes to Las Vegas, sometimes to other places. And this has had an effect on them and their families for now almost in a week. It'll be exactly 1 year. And we need to commend them for their dedication and the time it's taken to do this. They recognize the significance of the cases and the importance of the relationships and the partnerships with all of our allied agencies. In Mendota, the attempt to establish a stronghold by MS-13 has been thwarted. This is not the end of our partnership with Mendota PD and all of the other agencies we've been working with. We are committed to continue to work together to keep our citizens safe from physical violence and businesses free from intimidation and extortion tactics of this transnational gang. Thank you very much.
Next speaker will be Captain Rob Kreider, the commander of MAGIC. Rob.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Rob Kreider from the California Highway Patrol, captain of the Multi-Agency Gang Enforcement Consortium, which is comprised of members of the Fresno County Sheriff's Department, Fresno Police Department, Fresno County District Attorney's Office, the California Highway Patrol, as well as many other agencies. Now, the goal of MAGIC is to make our community a safer place. And I can tell you from this operation, we have definitely done that. It's often difficult to quantify, but I can guarantee you we have saved lives here today. When MAGIC detectives first discovered that Mara Salvatrucha, MS-13, was in the Mendota area, we realized we had a big problem. We had not seen this intimate level of violence until we saw the cases involving MS-13, where groups of young men would kidnap someone, utilize machetes to hack and try to dismember their bodies and leave them out in the public. We realized right away we had an enormous problem. I want to commend Sheriff Margaret Mims for recognizing that immediately and putting together the Homicide Task Force and all the collaboration you see today to go after MS-13. Our community is a safer place right now. Our schools are a safer place, and all across the country is a safer place based on the hard work of the men and women involved in this investigation. I want to thank them, and I want to thank their families for the enormous amount of time that they were away from their families to get this job done. Job well done, and thank you.
And our next speaker will be Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent in Charge, Ryan Spradlin. Ryan?
Thank you, Craig. Good morning, and thank you for joining us here today to talk about this surgically executed and highly collaborative law enforcement operation that occurred in several locations during the early morning hours yesterday. It was the first step taken in what we hope will make residents of Mendota and communities all around the United States safer. While I won't get into too many details at this point, what I will tell you is that this investigation has led law enforcement professionals throughout the United States and abroad to subjects that are allegedly involved in vicious and brutal acts of violence. As a lead federal transnational investigative agency, Homeland Security Investigations, or HSI, focuses our efforts and vast resources into disrupting and dismantling the spread of criminal organizations like MS-13 and other transnational gangs across the globe that compromise our national security and threaten our public safety. This highly complex investigation is just another example of the great results we can all achieve when all levels of law enforcement put public safety above all else to secure this great nation and its residents who expect nothing less. The truth is, the victims of violent criminal organizations and their family members' first concern isn't where their assailants are from. It's that they get taken off the streets and that justice be delivered. We are working hard to educate the community at large and the media that criminal investigations like the one described today is the type of work that HSI is trained to do and what we do best. Often misperceptions exist that the reason HSI is involved in an operation like this is because of a nexus to illegal immigration. However, the fact is, HSI's top priority is identifying and investigating sophisticated criminal networks like MS-13, whose ruthless members will stop at nothing to enforce their rules and victimize whoever stands in their way, regardless of their immigration status. Our partners know that HSI doesn't initiate or participate in criminal investigations because of someone's citizenship, but rather the alleged criminal activity that they are involved with. While HSI had more than 100 agents participate in yesterday's arrest and search warrants, including 5 of our highly trained special response teams, this investigation would not have been possible without the creation of a robust task force which combined resources from HSI, the Fresno County Sheriff Office, the FBI, CHP, Fresno PD, the Fresno County DA's Office, and the California Department of Justice and the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Furthermore, we would not be able to prosecute these cases without the support of the United States Attorney's Office in and for the Eastern District of California. In closing, I would be failing as the leader of the dedicated men and women of HSI and all of our partners if I didn't say thank you for what you do. Thank you for the sacrifice. Thank you for sacrificing weekends, holidays, the countless hours with your friends and family so those that you protect can continue to be with theirs. Simply put, it takes a courageous team to take down a cowardly gang. Thank you.
And finally, FBI Special Agent in Charge, Sean Reagan. Sean?
Good morning, everybody. First off, I'd like to thank you, the members of the press, for being here to cover this very significant investigation. And to echo what my colleagues have said before me, this is a true collaborative investigation. All of these partner agencies with the FBI, all of us came together, as we often do in these types of investigations, when we see a very significant threat to a particular community or an area, such as Mendota, part of Fresno County, of violent criminals, violent gang members, in this case MS-13. We bring our forces together, our resources together to target that particular crime and those particular crimes and that criminal enterprise to make the community safer. And that's what was done today. And I'm very confident that as a result of all the personnel that came together, these various agencies, the city of Mendota and Fresno County is safer today as a result of the very successful investigation and law enforcement actions that were taken yesterday. Let me kind of broaden it up a little bit. Unfortunately, criminal street gangs, criminal enterprises are a significant threat across this country. Significant threat in California, and they're a significant threat in all 50 states. And it takes the collaborative effort of all law enforcement agencies across the country to come together like this to take on this threat. And so the FBI, with our partners, back in the early 1990s, created the Safe Streets Task Force program. We have gang task forces in all 56 of our field offices. And here in our Sacramento field office territory, which covers Fresno, we have 6 gang task forces, including this one here in Fresno, which was a part of this successful investigation. Not only are gangs like MS-13 a part of the national threat, MS-13 we estimate has 10,000 members across this country in various pockets, to include obviously California and right here in Fresno County. But gangs are also a transnational threat, as was mentioned. And MS-13, though present in large numbers here, is also present in outside the United States in countries like El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. So to be truly successful, we have to collaborate as well with our foreign partners. And so we have, as the FBI has created a transnational anti-gang initiative, and that is in collaboration with the national police forces in El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras. We have agents permanently assigned in those 3 countries, 2 each, so 6 agents that are permanently assigned there and working embedded with the national police forces. And we have TDY or temporary assignments of agents that go there to assist. And El Salvador dedicates 50 of their members of their national police force to this task force. Guatemala, 50 officers from their national police force, and Honduras, 24 officers. So I would like to thank those countries and their national police forces for their dedication in taking on this very significant criminal enterprise along with us. Their dedication and commitment to the threats there in their home countries, which is significant. They have thousands of MS-13 members across those 3 countries. But they also help us here internally with information sharing and joint investigations. And I'll bring this back home here. So as part of this investigation, that we conducted here, our partners in El Salvador with the National Police, they dedicated resources to come to Fresno County to assist us. And so 3 to 4 National Police officers, TDY'd or temporary duties, for to spell it out, came here to Fresno on 30 to 60-day rotations to assist with this investigation. So I would be remiss if I did not thank them for their true commitment to this effort. Let me just conclude, as well as everyone else has, and rightfully so, is thanking the team that worked this investigation. The line deputies, CHP officers, detectives, agents from the various agencies, HSI, FBI, Department of Justice. They all came together, and they spent literally countless hours, 7 days a week, around the clock, working on this for the last several months. And as was mentioned, taking a lot of time away from family and from their personal lives to get this job done. And they all did so willingly, and they'll continue to do it in this investigation and future investigations, because that's what they do, and that's what their passion is and their commitment is, to protect the communities in this country and the communities here in Fresno County. So I want to thank them, and thank you again for being here.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. We appreciate you being here. Thank you.